up hands, wake up feet. Come on body, feel the beat. Wake up feelings, wake up brain. Come on body, it's time to play again. Let's go! Do 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 do. Let's go! Welcome to episode 6 of OT for 2. I am your host, Trish Lurk, and let's dive into part 3 of Teenagers. Teenagers part 3. Oh my goodness, I can't believe we have traversed this topic for 3 podcasts in a row. But let's be honest, there are amazingly, abundantly enjoyable times with our teens. And then there's the not so enjoyable times. The times where you are reaching for the wine, hiding in the cupboard, just looking for something to shove in your mouth, aka marshmallows or chocolate or whatever's on hand. I don't know about you, but if you have teenagers in your world, whether you teach them, whether you parent them, whether you step-parent them, whether you're an uncle or an auntie of a teenager, whether you have teenage babysitters, I don't know. But teenagers are everywhere. They are hormonal. They don't have fully developed frontal lobes. They don't have fully developed brains. They are seeking more autonomy. And they're just trying to cut a break and work this wonderful world out for themselves. And we as parents, we as safe adults, we as teachers are all here on the journey to help support and coach our teens from the sidelines. The hand-holding season is over, people. The hand-holding season is over. This means we are not running along beside them, helicoptering, telling them that they're doing it wrong or they're stuffing up. They probably are very well aware of that. But they need still some coaching, just like a sporting coach would be on the sidelines, yelling out a little bit of, hey, why don't you move in this direction? Hey, cover that player on the back end. Hey, drive forward. Hey, arms up. That is the era of coaching for the teenagers, and that is what they need. They don't need mollycoddling. They don't need to be shamed that they are doing it wrong. They just need affirmation that they are in the right place with a safety net of someone that loves them and will support them regardless on the back end. I took the time to ask a couple of people, and I've de-identified their voices, but I took the time to ask them what their experience is of parenting a teenager. And this is like a first-hand account. It may not be your experience. You may not have the joy and privilege to parent a teenager, but I reckon this is super relatable. I know I can relate to many of these points.
It's not as enjoyable. It's really hard work. Like the times I enjoy with him, they're really short-lived. And then the rest of the time I just have to remind myself that he's a teenager and they're grumpy. But I try not to give him too many excuses because I still want that standard. But when I get so disappointed and upset, I just try to tell myself, it's puberty and high school and blah, 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 blah.
And we all have different approaches to life. Some of us are structured, love routine, want to make sure that faces are clean, pits and privates are washed, deodorant applied, teeth are brushed, fingernails are clean. Other parents couldn't give a rat's. Doesn't matter, Parramatta. Be dirty, natural consequence will choose your path for you. Others of us have really defined views on how to be operational and functional in the world, and we want to impart that onto our kids. Other parents are like, well, you find your own way, that's okay. What I can tell you is kids need some guidance and some structure. Just letting them work it out on their own may not actually happen because their brains aren't fully developed, people. We keep revisiting this point. Their brains are not fully developed. So giving them a car license at the age of 16, their brains are not as well developed as when they are 18. So yes, some countries, some states do earlier on the road full license or probationary licenses. Are those kids ready for that? I reckon the older you are, the more ready you are, the more opportunity your brain has had to develop. But kids do need to be taught a structure, a theory, a procedure. If we never teach them, maybe they'll work out they need to put their underwear on first before their outer clothing. But maybe they won't, and they'll forever look like Superman with their jocks on the outside. I don't know about you. I would prefer a child that looks a little bit more put together, and functionally underpants belong against the body on the underneath areas, under the clothes. So yes, they might need more explicit teaching. Some kids need a lot of explicit teaching. Other kids do not need as much explicit teaching, and they can glean, observe, follow along and follow suit and connect the dots. Neurodivergent kids absolutely need explicit teaching and need you to explicitly connect the dots for them, because their brains may not naturally do it from observation alone. We've discussed this previously, that with teenagers, you are not yet besties. You are not yet, he's my bro and we're hanging out. She's my bestie, we're hanging out, we're painting our nails. Yes, there are moments where there is connection and friendship, but it is still a parent-child attachment. It is still, you are the parent and they are the child. Yes, they're a teenager. Yes, they want more autonomy. But we've spoken about, and this was last time, we spoke about being the coach at the trapeze. They're on the trapeze. You are standing beside the safety net on the ground, and the safety net is under them. That's the scaffolding that you have put into place to help them. They're the things that you've taught them as a child, the routines, the processes, the body doubling that you've done in order for them to put away their washing that you have lovingly folded for them. And they don't know where to put it in their cupboard, and they don't know that if they just chuck it in, it's going to be messed up as anything. They don't know that because they're kids and their brain has not fully matured. We've spoken about teenage brains are not fully mature until they are 25 and then some. But if you're neurodivergent, your brain is still on the journey of growth and development, even beyond that mid-young adult age. So there is a lot of stuff going on. Any teenager, the hormones are like doing the roller coaster in them. And you will remember back to when they were young and go, hey, you were not born a little poo-poo. You were not born a little poo stirrer in my life. You were actually sweet, innocent. I love you, mummy. All the cuddles and the kisses. Dad, you're excellent. That's how they spoke, and they were genuinely interested in having a beautiful, loving, cuddle relationship with you. And then they get the testosterone surges or the hormone surges that happen around the age of 8. And they become some other vile creature that has little spits and spurts of getting a bit aggressive, potentially, especially for the boys I'm talking about now. And then you get the preteen hormonal surge, puberty in your face. And we've all seen the Inside Out movies 1 and 2 by now, hopefully. But those films, all right, there's your homework. But those films are perfectly encapsulating of what happens as soon as the glitch in the matrix, aka puberty, starts to happen. There's hormones, there's peers, there's peer pressure, there is all of that. But if you're a neurodivergent preteen, that is an extra sideshow that you didn't pay for or sign up for. It's hideous, to be honest. And the teenagers are like, help, help, but also leave me alone because I want to do it myself, but help. So we have had the experience of the roller coaster of emotions with our teens in our world, whether they are your children, whether they are your nieces and nephews, whether they are the delightful humans that are discovering themselves in your classroom. There are teenagers in your world serving you your McDonald's or your KFC or your Chinese takeaway. I don't know, but they are out there in the workforce trying to earn a buck because all of their subscriptions to Discord and whatever costs money, and you've now told them that they need to start paying their dues. And they're like panicking because adulting involves paying for all of those subscriptions that they love, like Netflix and Spotify Premium and Discord, and what else can we possibly do? Yeah, all of those things on the apps that they download and the games that they play with friends. I'm playing Clash of Clans Royale and I need to buy more, blah, blah, blah. I'm playing Brawl Stars and I need to level up. I'm on, Fortnite and I need 17 new skins yesterday. Yes, I know what all those words are because I am trying very, very hard to keep up with the teenagers in my world. The ones that I work with, but the ones that I have the pleasure of living with. So I'm talking to you from a place that 1,000,000% knows what it is like to have teenage vibes in your home, in your workplace, and in my after school, after hours times. I am a 24/7 teenage trying to catch her up a kind of parent and kind of auntie and kind of friend and kind of role model, maybe role model, and therapist. So like bonus, you got all the hats today. I'm the hat man, woman. Yep, that's me. So we've got lots to talk about today. We have the vibe of the hormone fluctuation. Okay, truth be told, you got a little teaser when they were 8 years old. Lucky little teasers of like pushback, a little bit more grunt, especially the boys. They've got the coming at you at about the age of 8, and they seem to have somehow manifested an epitome of energy that you are like, how are you like the Incredible Hulk morphing out of your clothes so quickly? One, on the growth side, but also on the like shoving your siblings thing. Like no longer is it a little, you're annoying me. It's like, whoo, and they're against the wall and the brother is like concussed. Oops, sorry little brother, but they don't say sorry. They know they're in trouble, so they freak out and then they lie that it wasn't them and the brother tripped over their sock or something. We know that didn't happen, but we know from previous episodes, if you approach it with calm, curiosity, hey, I'm seeing that there's bloodshed on the wall, and I'm seeing that your brother James is crying, and I'm seeing that you got the guilty face because, you know, your poker face is terrible, little Sam. I wonder what could have happened here. I wonder, like, I mean, possible that a dragon came in and there was some slaying of the dragon moment and that's the dragon's blood, but your brother's just crying because of it. And you might make a very elaborate story up because sometimes that makes it permissible to share what is a lot tamer than the elaborate story. So there's no shame in actually being a little bit playful with what you are curious about, obviously with sensitivity, but there is no harm in doing that if you know that that will create a safer space for them to feel like you're not going to blow your foo-foo valve of parentness at them. Because we know as soon as we go in aggressively, as soon as we go in with judgment, a child, and a teenager is still a child, I just want to quantify that, their brain has not fully matured and developed until they're 25 years old. So that is the reality of all of this. That the human brain has not fully developed until you're 25 years of age. That's if you're neurotypical. If you're neurodivergent, if you have an intellectual disability, if we have any other things at play there, chromosomal conditions, if any of those other things are at play, brain development tracks differently to the normative tracking of development, which is in itself really challenging to grapple with and get your head around, because when you've seen one teenager or one child, you think you've seen them all. Well, if you've never had a child, this is your newsflash. And it's cool if you've gone down that route and decided that's not for you, and I'm sorry if it's incredibly triggering, if it's a journey that you are still on in terms of a fertility journey. I know what that's like, and it's a really devastating thing to come to terms with, particularly as a woman, but no less devastating for the guys out there that really want to be dads. But if you've got kids in your life, even if you're a cool auntie or a cool uncle and you are watching your siblings raise their kids, you will know that no one child is the same. You might have the same genetics in the blender, and I'll say that because whatever blender you used, it still was a blend, okay? A blend of DNA from sperm and egg. Soz, for the little ears listening that did not know the birds and the bees talk, spoiler alert, sperm and eggs are involved. And there is a blender of some description involved. Parents, you can decode that should you have little ears listening. Now, no matter any which way you piece that. Families with 6 kids, this is a perfect example actually. I know families with 6 kids. No one of those siblings are the same. They don't look the same, they don't talk the same, they don't think the same, and they definitely have different skills and giftings. And they even blow their nose differently. Yes, I'm an OT and I have observed that in these families with 6 kids. And I mean, those parents have superhuman strength that I do not have. I have 3 kids and I am outnumbered. Me and my hubby, we are outnumbered and we admit it. And we watch the show Outnumbered with them and they laugh at us all the time because they're like, hey, you're outnumbered. And we're like, we know. But the hormones that are popping up at the age of 8, there's a hormone boost surge around then. Please don't hold me to these exact ages. I am flying off the seat of my pants in terms of some of these facts. And there's a lot of fun facts in this gorgeous brain of mine. Sometimes they come out a little bit jumbled. So please do a fact check. If you are a fact checking kind of person, please do that. And please don't troll me because maybe I've got my timelines a smidge out. So hormone surge around the age between 6 and 8, there's something going on. There's definitely some Energizer Bunny action that a lot of the boys are having, particularly around that age. Girls are actually getting quite a bit emotional around that age. Also, detaching from parents, trouble with drop-offs at school and so on. They're big deals. Then, dun 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 dun, the preteen years. Now, we all think that puberty starts at like 13 or something. Newsflash, that's probably going to actually kind of start happening around the age of 8 or 9. I know, is it the chicken that we're eating? Is it the hormone-infused mincemeat that's at Coles on special? I don't know. But for some reason, the transition into puberty is happening earlier now than it ever has before historically. You don't need to fact check that. That is the truth. And if you don't know, then you can have a bit of a think about your development and then have a look at your kids' development and go, wowzers, they're doing some things. Now, there is the emotional and the social interactive kind of development that's happening with children. And I'm going to liken this to the grade 4 girl era. And I'm saying grade 4 girls in terms of, we're talking about the 9-year-olds, the 9 or 10-year-olds age. Back in my day, I hate that saying, but I'm going to say it. Back in my day, what is happening currently for grade 4 girls used to happen in year 8. The bitchiness, the hot and cold behaviour to each other, that was very much a year 7 or 8 vibe when you're 13 or 14. Nowadays, that's showing up in 8, 9 and 10-year-olds. Scary. Is it the hormone chicken? Is it environment? I think there is a big part of that that's the environment. Kids have got exposure to tablets and not like pills. I'm talking about screens, iPads, Samsung Galaxy tablets. I don't want to be exclusive. Android tablets and Apple tablets, okay? So they have free reign a lot of the time in a lot of households. Now, I have parents coming to me going, oh my gosh, they won't get off the iPad. And I said, have you taken it off them? And they're like, no, they'll get mad. And I'm like, well, they're not your bestie. You're the parent. You get their entire adult life to be their bestie. Once you have nailed raising a fully functional human being whose brain has matured to completion. Now, everyone's to completion will be different, maturity to completion, all right, based on your neurotype, based on your biology. But in saying that, you cannot be best friends with someone if they don't know how to be an adult. So unless they're ticking all the boxes of adulting, which I'm not even ticking all the boxes of adulting, and I'm 40 people, I'm loud and proud and 40, but I'm not ticking all the adult boxes of adulting. There are days where I don't do my dishes. I know you might judge me for that. There are days also that I just let washing pile up until there is like 7 loads to do. And my hubby and I look at it and we're like, we have no capacity for that today. And we have clean undies still. So we press on. Or we start recycling or we buy more undies at Coles. I will admit sometimes I buy more undies because I can't be bothered doing the washing. Adulting is hard. So I'm trying to be relatable here in being very honest that I don't have all my ducks in a row. I know where they are, roughly. I haven't lost any ducks, but I do not have them in a row or in any kind of organisational fashion, despite being an A-type. So we have grade 4 girls that have got the mental capacity and the development brain-wise of a 8, 9 or 10-year-old. And yes, there's that many ages in grade 4 because of our excellent Australian age cutoff thingies, which is differing for every state. Don't even get me started. That's another podcast in itself. But we also have what used to be my year 8, which was 13 and 14-year-olds doing and behaving the same way. And it's all because of the exposure or the lack of supervision that they have with screens. Now, when my kids got their first iPad for school, for home, this might be, your story might be like, oh my gosh, at grade 3, they all get their own one-to-one iPads and they take it home, etc., plug it in, learn to be responsible. Great. In our family, when I was intentionally thinking about how am I going to introduce screens to my kids so that the screen is not the parent, the screen is not the boss. A screen is a great tool. Don't get me wrong. If you're in a waiting room and it's bloody boring, give your kid your phone, but make sure they've only got access to XYZ apps when they're on it. What is not a great plan is to give a kid an iPad that has no locking times, that has no screen moderations. They're a child. They're going to get bloody addicted to it. I'm going to tell you that for free. You're addicted to your phone. I'm addicted to my phone. My phone is actually my brain extension, so it's not actually that I'm like loving playing Candy Crush in my spare time. I don't have spare time. But our kids look at the screen, which gives them 1,000 times more stimulation than the real world because it's flash, 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 and everything is now. You tap it and it happens. You tap it and it happens. The real world's not like that. Give me an ice cream, Mum. No, you're going to have to wait. We're not at the ice cream shop. Why? Why do you get that tantrum? Because they're used to a screen that just gives them the ice cream that they click on. I know, that's profound. But that is the truth of the matter, that screens have conditioned the children of today to be able to sideswipe instead of pinch. Kids today cannot pinch and open a packet of chippies by the time they get to prep. Prep teachers and parents are cutting open packets for their children. I open lunchboxes or see kids open their lunchboxes at schools and their mummies beautifully have cut little snips in them. What I said to my kids was, you can't open it, you can't have it. Pinch and pull. I taught them that one time. I gave a kid a packet of M&Ms and their dad said, they can't open packets. Can you teach them how to do that? And I said, they're 9. Absolutely. That is a skill that they need. I gave them the packet of M&Ms and I said, you can't use your teeth. You can't use the scissors. You need to open it with your fingers. You pinch and you tear and that will open the packet. It actually says tear here, even it's labelled. And the child opened it in less than 20 seconds. Now the dad looked at me and was like, how did you do that? Like I was some kind of magician. And I said, you just got to put something in the packet, 1, that they want, and 2, if you can't open it, you can't have it. There's motivation right there. Now, my kids have never gone hungry because they learned how to open a packet of chippies within about 30 seconds. They just tried and tried and tried until they did it. They kept practicing. They kept persisting. And that helped to develop resilience in them from the age of 18 months old. People used to look at me and go, Trish, why is your 18-month-old child standing at the bench on a chair making pancakes? Like, did you make the mixture? Tell me about this. And I was like, oh, thanks for asking. Actually, from the minute they could stand up, unsupported, they've been standing at the bench with me making pancakes. They've learnt to scoop the flour, brush it off with the top of the scoop so that it's a level cup. They tip that in the bowl. Kids can pour from 6 months old. They hold their little water cups in the bath and they tip and they pour, and that's how they learn that control of their wrist and their hand. So from that very young age of 6 months, they've been practicing that skill and they've been nailing it. So now I just give them the fill it up, brush, tip it out process. They've nailed that since the age of 1. Then they were curious about how to break an egg. Now this process took a little bit longer to practice and nail without shell, but they can crack an egg, break it in half, check for shell. We do it in a little bowl, and then they tip it into the big bowl. They've learned how to pour the milk, look to fill to the top of the line of the cup, pour it in. Then they've learnt to hold a whisk and go around and around and around. These are all things that they do in play. These are all things that they emulate with make-believe things. From 18 months of age, all of my children could make pancakes. And the only thing that I helped with was turning on the stove and supervising. They could even get the spatula, slide it under when all the bubbles were there. They could say, all the bubbles are there, Mummy, flip, And I said, yes, flip. And they would slide under, lift their hand up and flip. Now, you might have a child that you would say, be careful, don't touch the pan, it's hot. And they will go, I touch it. And you would say, don't touch it, it's hot, it will burn you. Now, we have a problem because the strong-willed children of today, and those of you that have strong-willed children will know, will go, I'm gonna touch it. And they touch it and then they cry and you're like, see, I told you, you touch it, it will burn you, you will cry, you will have to go underwater for 20 minutes, cold running water, and then you will have blisters. Now, my middle child has walked around going, is burn at 18 months old, because no matter how much amount of pre-warning I do, they are a try before you buy kind of child. God bless those children. They do make us go to the emergency room more than necessary, but they only need to do it once, and then they're telling their friends, don't do that, I did it, look, broken arm. Oh, don't do that, I did that, burny fingers. They don't need to do it more than one time, but they are what I would call an experiential learner. So all of this time, I have used the skill set and the body mechanics that a child has, my children have, to teach them a skill, to put it into a functional thing. If you cannot open a packet, job done. Like, you don't get to eat the chippies. It's very motivating if you really want chippies to open a packet. So this is all because of a screen, because they're really great at the side swipe. There's a lot more screen time now compared to playing in the great outdoors. So kids are not climbing trees. They're not climbing play equipment that we have in the backyard. We might have backyard equipment, but that backyard equipment might be home to many, many spider webs because the kids prefer the option of the screen. Now, if you are giving unlimited screen time and access to your children on screens, there might be a really great reason for that. You might have a chronic illness. You may not be able to be with them as physically present as possible. They might have a screen addiction and you're working on that with your healthcare professional. I'm not judging the people that use screens. I use a screen as a tool after school for half an hour as a down reg for my family. They get half an hour. There's a 14-year-old in our household. I've been honest about this from episode 1. There's an 11-year-old in our house and a 9-year-old in our house. They get a 30-minute window when they first get home after putting away their lunchbox, school bags, shoes, etc. If they want to have a shower and wash the day off, transform themselves by putting on their home clothes, that's really helpful for some children. But we have a snack time and a reboot time. They get half an hour to doom scroll whatever they like on their screens, whatever they like within what they've got available on their screens, and that's what I'm moving to next. They have that time, and then they know that their screen time is over and they dock their iPads or their phones. My teenager has a phone now, and they dock their technology, and until it's homework time, that technology does not come out again. And technology is for a little bit of social time, a little bit of regulation potentially, and for homework. That's it. They don't get it 24/7, and we have a cutoff time. My 14-year-old's cutoff time is 9 p.m. because of homework, but all of his screens turn to brown light at that point, which means that he's able to rest his brain. They turn to brown light an hour and a half before bedtime. So an hour and a half before bedtime at 8 p.m, my 14-year-old's screens, all on automatic timer, inclusive of the Surface Pro for school, turn to brown light, because blue light is what stimulates the brain, and brown light at least will not jerk around your brain and give it like a disco from like the 80s. Crying at the discotheque. You don't have that going on in your brain. It's at least muting things. I have that on my own personal phone. My phone personally does that an hour and a half before bedtime. The kids' iPads all have that, or Android tablet if that's what your family has. All of the technology has these features. Parents may not know about it. Now you do. Here's your little happy info about that. So being the boss of your technology for your kids is key, and that's another episode in itself. But my kids needed to earn their apps. They first started with only being able to use Kids Messenger to message parents. That was it. Once they nailed messaging parents appropriately and not doing pages of emojis of the same emoji, then they proved that they were responsible to be able to have aunties and uncles on Messenger before they even developed into the kids stage. And then after that, we progressed into, all right, dun dun dun, now you can have access to the camera. Yes, I deleted the camera app off my kids' devices because kids do not know that being a funny little poo-poo and taking a photo of the poo that you did in the toilet, or taking a photo of down your pants or your belly button or whatnot, kids at the age of 6 or 4, whoever's using a screen, 3-year-olds, they don't know that taking a selfie that they have no clothes on after bath time could go on the dark web somewhere, and some sick person is using that for not the greater good. They don't know digital and cyber safety, and unless you have had that very in-depth conversation about the ramifications of child trafficking and child abduction and pornography, child pornography, unless you've had that conversation with your 3-year-old using an iPad, please remove their camera. Because they don't know that taking a photo of their private parts at the age of 3 is not cool and could end up somewhere. And if they accidentally hit send, it might be somewhere that they didn't mean it to go. 3-year-olds don't know that. 6-year-olds also don't understand the ramifications of that. And I dare say that most 13 and 15-year-olds still don't know the ramifications of that. Because we have 15-year-olds out there that send a selfie to their bestie, that bestie forwarded it to their friend, that forwarded it to their friend, that cropped their face, off the body and put it on a dog licking itself. Now they're calling you a dog butt licker. And that photo is posted everywhere. It's on Snapchat, it is on every single story, it is on a short, it is a reel, it is a meme. You might send a cute little video of yourself to your friend, a little message, a teenager might do that, harmless. Then the friend forwards that on because it was so cute and delightful. And then it ends up in their boyfriend's hand who may have put it on Discord, and then it went to someone else, and then it went to someone else, and then all of a sudden, with technology, you can crop the words that that person said, like we know with all the politician videos of, I didn't mean to say that, I like orange people being smacked by helmets. Like, there is a Donald Trump video, I'm very sure, that has something to that effect happening on there, and it sounds like some weird auto-tune because they've cropped him from different speeches to say something that he never said in a cohesive sentence. Technology allows you to be able to do that. And teenagers are very smart at using technology, FYI, in case you didn't know. They can make shorts, reels, snaps, all of that stuff. They can edit photos so well. If you need digital marketing done, hire a teenager. They're excellent at it, they're quick at it, and they've hyper-focused on it because that is how they communicate with each other. So 1, you need to know the language that your kids are speaking. 2, you need to know the apps and the technology that they are using, and you need to have pre-vetted them. Now, you might think, I don't have time to do that. Well, if you don't have time to do that, give your child a book and tell them to read and be happily ever after in the world of Narnia. Or Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Roald Dahl chapter books, whatever. There are so many excellent books out there, but we were raised in a generation, and our parents were raised in a generation of books. Your imagination did the work. Now your imagination doesn't need to do that because your streaming services are teaching your children how to be sassy little meanie poo-poos in grade 4. When their brain space is not even able to conceptualize that what comes out of your mouth cannot be pushed back in. You cannot unhear something. And I use the toothpaste analogy so often in our sessions physically with girls, boys alike. I do it at home. You give them a tube of toothpaste and you say, squeeze out the toothpaste. And they go, that was easy. Yep, speaking is easy. Mouthing off when you're angry is easy. And this is one for the teenagers, mouthing off and telling people that they should all blow themselves up and your parents suck. That is something that teenagers will say, and they'll say a lot more delightful things than that. I can tell you that for free. I've been on the receiving end of, I hate you, you're the worst mum in the world, I can't believe you cooked that dinner for me, it's filthy. And I was like, wow. That was your favourite last week, and pardon me for trying. I've been on the receiving end of that. But we all mouth off, and then we all try and eat our words later. So you've squeezed the toothpaste out, now you say to the kids, put it back in. You give them a good 10 minutes, because I tell you, and film it because it's funny, but they're like trying to shove toothpaste in. A toothpaste tube is not like a container of, shampoo where you can squeeze it and it'll suck in a bit. It's not like that. Once you've squeezed it out, there's no putting that entire contents of toothpaste, and you say that, put the entirety of all the toothpaste back in. What you end up with is a smear of toothpaste mess on your kitchen bench, bathroom bench, wherever you've chosen to do it. Maybe if you're one of those parents, you've put out a messy mat and it's all on there. Good for you, you were smart. Maybe that be pre-warning if you're going to do this experiment at home. They will say to you after a good 10 minutes, it's not working. I can't put it back. It's just a mess and it's all over my hands and yeah. And now we all smell like mint. And I'm like, excellent. So you mouthing off is that toothpaste and you can't put it back. And now I'm a wounded puppy at a fun fair over here crying in the cupboard eating marshmallows. Yes, this extra weight gain here is from you. Thank you, children. And then they look at you like you're like the pot calling the kettle black. But I'm like, excuse me. I have feelings too. As a parent, I do. Yeah, newsflash, teenagers, your parents have feelings. And when you mouth off at us that we are complete losers for not giving you an open wallet of money, one, we are poor. We are in the generation of houses are too expensive, mortgages and rents and life overheads is expensive, and you teenagers with your excellent taste in Dangerfield clothing are expensive to run. And yeah, going out for grilled and movies once a week, I want to do that, but I can't because I'm funding my teenagers' social life. Who else is with me? I know. Get a job, teenagers, get a job is what I can say. But their brain space at 8 is not prepared for unhinged, unfiltered, unrestricted iPad use, YouTube access. Kids should be on kids' YouTube. Why? Because the algorithm on YouTube goes from video A. Oh, love video A, so good. It goes from video A, which is what they search for, to video B, which is kind of similar, to video C, and then maybe they searched first for a train going really fast downhill. Before you know it, you're watching a train with 2 people going at it like rabbits on the roof. Now, if you've got a 5-year-old watching it, they're like, Mummy, why are there naked people going for it on top of a train going down a hill? And you're like, oh, that was the algorithm. What did you search for first? Unfiltered YouTube. Smart TVs now are a disaster. If you have a smart TV, hide the remote, hide the buttons, turn off the Wi-Fi, honest to goodness, if you have children, because they are so darn savvy that when you're not home or when, great Aunt Julie is watching them instead of you guys because you're out having date night for the first time in 10 years and you finally put on high heels and you don't know how to walk in them anymore. If that's you and you've got some babysitter looking after your kids going, yeah, we're allowed to watch YouTube, they're watching some business that they should not be watching. I can guarantee you of that. And you're going to be like, why have I got a sassy little 8-year-old? Well, they've watched the Barbie show. If you, not like the movie, I'm talking about Barbie doll on Netflix, that Malibu Barbie, I think it's called. I don't know. The way they speak to each other is like really sassy 20-year-olds or, late teenagers. I don't need my 6-year-old talking to me like a sassy teenager who doesn't understand you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube, who can't understand that when you say those kinds of things, your friends don't want to be friends with you anymore. The responsibility rests with us as parents. We have a responsibility to teach our teenagers still. We've talked about in the early years, you were the do it for them. In the baby years, that's what you are. You're doing it for them. You're feeding them, you're nappy changing, you're washing them, you are choosing the clothes and dressing them because as babies, they don't have the skills to do that themselves. Then we move into trying to get a bit more autonomous, demanding toddler, communication, frustration, I do it myself age. I click myself into the car seat. And yes, you could have done this really well in the lead up to that season and been really intentional and showing them and talking them through how to clip their little car seat clip in so that when they get to plank it like a mother trucker, age 3, wanting to do it themselves, they actually know how to do it and they're not fumbling, getting frustrated because their brain space, again, is small and still developing and they're still on the journey of development. They cannot necessarily piece that together unless you've done explicit teaching when they're calm and regulated. So the toddler years are you want a bit more freedom, but you're still needing a lot of hands-on assistance. Then you're moving into the autonomous dynamite years of kindergarten or preschool where they're like, I can do it. And you know that if you help them into that car seat, they got to go back inside and start it all over again because they said they wanted to do it. So we all know that it's pointless to even offer them assistance because you'll get a spit in the face or something equivalent, or an old sultana that they found in their car seat that they piffed at you. Lucky. So that's the preschool years. Their capacity to understand choices in the preschool years is still really limited. If you say to a 5-year-old, go and get dressed, we're going to a party. I guarantee you, will come out with a party dress on, a superhero cape, one gumboot, one high heel, and their bathers over the top. And you're going to a party that is at a very luxe hotel, and your face is like, do I allow my child to come into the vehicle and come like this, which is excellent, mind you, or do I tell them, no, you can't wear that? Well, actually, newsflash parents, you said go and get dressed. You gave them 0 parameters. If you don't give a child a boundary, they're just going to run free willy. You know this, I know this. If I don't say to you, when you go into a shop, you have a budget, you're going to buy everything. If I say, I'm going to buy you some new clothes, you go, cool, anything I want? I'll say anything you want. And then they go, sick! And then they get every single thing off the shelf and put it on the counter. And you're like, I'm not a millionaire. And you're like, well, you didn't say so. Put some boundaries in before they even start. Set yourself up for the win, parents. So if you say to a 2-year-old, go and choose what you want to wear, and they come out with bathers over the top of tracksuit pants and some other interesting combo of superhero action stuff, and you're going to a christening, that's on you, parents, because you gave them free choice. And if you say no to them, you do deserve that full-blown tanty meltdown that's going to happen because you actually gave them free choice. When they're 2, when they're in the younger years, a choice of 2 is absolutely key and pertinent, a choice of 2. Now, you might think that's a bit hardcore, but you would say you want them to wear shoes. So you'd say, would you like to wear the sparkle shoes or your lovely little brown lace-up boots? They get the choice. They have the choice for 2 things that you are happy with. So that's what I would call forced choice. And that is what you need to do for any child until they can make snap decisions from those 2 options. If they are trying to add option C, I'm going to tell you for free, they're not ready for 3 choices because they can't even choose from what is presented. So yeah, I want to give you a choice. They're like, sick, I love choosing. You say, would you like to wear your runners or your gumboots to kinder today? Oh, I want to wear my sparkle shoes. That wasn't a choice. You can say, hey, make a strong choice. You get to choose between your runners or your gumboots. Once they can pick really quickly, I'll wear my gumboots. Excellent. Then if you can do that consistently with a child and from choice of 2, they can snap choice between those 2 things, you are good to go. You are absolutely good to go. Now, let's fast track to options when they're at school. I want to play basketball. Sam plays basketball. I want to play basketball. You don't say, yeah, you can play basketball. You can say, oh my goodness, basketball's an exciting choice. I'm going to look at some basketball options and I'm going to bring that back to you. Do you have a second choice as well, just in case all the basketball teams are full? Because truth be told, they need to be prepared for disappointment that maybe it does not fit your budget, your schedule, or, you overcommit and underdeliver, which is like most parents in this world because they're just trying to get their kids on the same page or to get in the car. So they're like, yeah. And then all of a sudden you've just admitted to giving them like anything under the sun, inclusive of running them to Timbuktu for lacrosse lessons, which is only in like a suburb 7 million years away. So that puts the power back into you. That allows you to go do some Gary groundwork. What's going to fit with the budget, the timeline, the schedule, the finances, all of those things, and also their temperament, because sometimes kids are unrealistic and they say, I want to play this. And you're like, dude, you were born with no arms. Tennis may not be the right choice for you. And some kids are born with different limitations or different challenges or things that mean that they will be upskilled in other areas. And they might not fit a mainstream sporting team, and you might need to look for a disability inclusion club. And there is no shame in that. There is absolutely no shame in that. So now we get to a point in development where kids are able to choose between 2 things, snap decision. That's hopefully happening around the age of 6. If they're still trying to add option C, D, and F into all of the mix of what you're offering, you come back to the original choices and say, make a strong choice. It's not a good choice or a bad choice because they're arbitrary terms. Make a strong choice. Okay, you've chosen to go with that, or you've chosen to make no choice. Okay, would you like to make the choice or am I going to make the choice? So then you put it back to another thing. Oh, I want to make the choice. Okay, well, you make the choice in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If they're not able to make that choice, you say, that's cool, now I get to make the choice. This is what we're doing, and you move on. Don't sit there in rumination trying to just convince them. It is like trying to convince a politician to change their policies. It ain't gonna happen. Right, little children are like politicians. Now we go into the preteen stage where the hormones are surging, and that is excellent. But that is just a teaser for the teen years. Let's remember the vibe that you were, or maybe not you, maybe your brother or sister who were a vibe. That is who we're thinking about now. We're talking about hormonal fluctuations that they're not into, okay? These teens of ours in our world are not into their hormone fluctuations. I'll tell you now for free, when I work with teens, especially teen boys and teen girls, I'm like, you can't call out your mates on being hormonal. You will, like girls in this especially, have you got your period? You're like being a psycho. Ooh, oh my gosh, never say that. Every girl under the sun, every woman, every 40-year-old woman even, will look at you with the Medusa face and you will turn to stone or worse. So don't call it out. I tell that to my teenagers when we're having our little OT sessions. I say, that's not going to fly. And no woman ever likes to be said, be told that they've got their period or they must have their period because that's why they're being irrational. We're being irrational because we are. That's it. Because of the circumstances at play. And it might be the hormones, it might be the period, it might be who knows what. But there is always a reason for behaviour, and when you're a woman or around a woman, you never say, is that because of you, your makeup, whatever. You can say, things look hard today. Bit of empathy, bit of sympathy, and then lay the offerings of sweet and salty food and do a runner, please. Or offer a hug, or offer to watch The Notebook for the millionth time with your lover. That's all I can say. They're my hot tips for the teenagers. Now, those hormones that we had surging in our bodies when we were teenagers, these teenagers have. Yes, I know. Shock horror, hormones are still a thing. They're going to have ebbs and flows. They're going to have good days and bad days. They're going to have good minutes and bad minutes. It is the reality of the teenage years. There is going to be heartbreak one minute and elation the next because you got them tickets to their favourite musical artist, and then they're going to hate you 5 minutes later because you wouldn't give them more than $50 to spend at the merch stand, and they're like, nothing is $50, and you're like, well, do more car washing to earn some bucks. Like, you can say that to your kids, you can earn that. They need to learn that they need to earn it. They can't just have your wallet open for magic all the time. Cool. You want to go out to your mates for some grilled? My car needs a wash. That's $10. The house needs vacuuming. That's $3. You could put prices on things. In our family, everyone contributes to the running of a household because they live there. It's not rent. It's being decent and being helpful. Everyone puts their own dirty clothes in the washing basket because I don't want to separate undies and pants and skiddy jocks and socks from out of jeans. I don't want to be touching my kids' things, or my husband's things for that matter. These are the two baskets, lights and darks, sort them yourself. That's what we do. So it's super duper important to absolutely make sure that our kids have what they need and set up for the win. So now our teenagers, we've got that really pertinent topic coming up. What do we do when those teenage years become less and less enjoyable? What do we do in that circumstance? Because they've got these hormones, they're not enjoying themselves, their friends are sometimes not enjoying them, and then you're at home going, you're a piece of work to be around right now. They already hate themselves. Teenagers are struggling to find out who they are, where they fit in the world in those years, and they're hard years. Please try and remember that that was the season for you. Please try and come at it with a lens of compassion. They probably don't even like being around themselves. I don't like being around myself when I'm hormonal, and I know for definites that no one else likes that either. So in that space, I'm going to say lens of compassion is first and foremost, and just acknowledge it. Hey, looks like it's a hard day being in teenage body. I get it. I totally get it. And that's okay. It's absolutely 1,000,000% a-okay to just acknowledge it. And when you acknowledge it, the elephant in the room is no longer an elephant, and that is completely fine. At the end of the day, if they know that they're seen, heard, and validated, This is coming from the last episode, or like I think it's episode 3 actually, not the last episode. But if you are seen, heard, and validated, people are coming at you through a lens of care and compassion and calm curiosity. People just want to be seen. And teenagers, they don't feel seen. They feel overlooked. They feel like they're a misfit. They feel like they don't even know who they are. And then when you got your parents going, I don't even want to be around you, they're probably like, I don't even want to be around myself. So those early years when we are the parents are actually doing a lot of the side-by-side teaching. You're a teacher in the early years. You are teaching them every itty-bitty little thing explicitly by modeling as much as you possibly can. When you're driving, they are learning from you. Yep, they are absolutely learning from you, cursing the person that cut you off, or using that as an external teaching moment to go, hey, when you cut off other people, it's really inconvenient and it's rude and it makes the other drivers really frustrated. So don't be that driver. That's a great teaching moment. You could mouth off. I am not perfect. I sometimes get a bit frustrated and go, why would you do that? And say some other colourful things. But on the most part, I'd reroute and correct if I'm not the only one in the car. And I say, hey, like my response is valid. I am peed off. But also what they did causes a lot of frustration on the road, and that's when accidents happen. So teaching the why behind the what in the teenage years is essential. Why do I wear thongs in the shower when I go to a public pool or a public facility? Because do you want foot fungus that turns into plantar warts, that turns into needing them burnt off with liquid nitrogen at the GP, that turns into black spots on the bottom of your feet that are painful to walk on, that turns into like rotten flesh, that turns into, and then they didn't get it all, so you got to do it all again. Would you like that? Yeah, that's dramatic, but that is the end game. And they go, no. And you're like, well, that's why you wear thongs in the shower. If you just say wear thongs in the shower in a public space to a teenager, they're going to be like, why? What's in it for me? So you need to tell them what's in it for me and the why. We teach manual handling at university to university students in allied health because protecting your back is essential. If your back is shot, you can't lift anything, you can't do anything. You can't push out a baby if you're a woman, if you've shot your back lifting people, thinking you're the Incredible Hulk because you did some CrossFit classes once upon a time, and then you just thought, oh, it's not going to be that hard, I'm just going to hoik this wheelchair into a car boot. You might do that and think there are no serious ramifications doing that one time, but that might do your back, which might mean you may not be able to have a natural birth when you are in your early 30s. People don't know the ramifications or the end game for making a decision, and a snap decision at best. A teenager's mind is not fully developed. A neurodivergent's brain is not fully developed. It does not know all of the ins and outs. They will tell you, I know that. But then when you give them the news flash, like, yeah, cool, okay, you could drive like a hot-headed lunatic on the road and you might think you're really safe, but there are other people on the road, and that what you're putting out onto the road physically in terms of ducking and weaving and playing chicken with the car in front and all of those things, that actually makes really upset, peed off drivers, and that is what causes accidents, not you being a good defensive driver or a good, unhinged driver that's, keeps yourself safe. Just because you're alive, it doesn't mean someone else will be at the price of yourself and your actions. So teaching our kids what are the consequences, teaching our kids to do the toothpaste activity and saying those words don't go back in. Those selfies that you take, they make the rounds. If you put it on socials, if you put it on Instagram, if you put things up, shorts up, if you put things on Snapchat, even on stories, there is a screenshot function, people, on phones. Parents, if you did not know that, what have you even been doing? How do you remember stuff? That's how I remember stuff. But the kids of today, they're savvy little peanuts, and they're just like click, 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 click. Oh, that's a really funny face. Like halfway through that video, I'm going to screenshot that, put that on an animal, and that's going to be like the biggest meme of the century of that doofus face person in our class. That doofus face person in that class has feelings. They have feelings, and they are just as scared and as lost as your teenage child is as well. You might think your teenage child's not lost. You're like, I know where they are. They're just there in the next room playing on Discord, chatting to their friends. Yeah, okay, there they are, but they're screaming out that they have no idea who they are. One minute they're dressed like an emo, the next minute they've decided that they're going to shave their head with an undercut, and then the next time they've got like all different coloured fingernails. They're exploring themselves, and we need to be supportive of that, not judgmental, because the minute you lay in judgment, shutdown occurs. And we don't want to be shutting down our teens. We want to be opening them up and giving them safety and a safe place. And so I've talked about this in previous episodes about teenagers. When teenagers hit the teen years, they're not our besties. They're not like, let's have sips of alcohol, this is fun, together. That's your decision to think about what alcohol introduction looks like. But we are the coaches that are down on the ground now. Even teenagers need coaches in their sporting teams. So this is a perfect analogy. We are the coaches down on the ground. They're on the trapeze. They want to have a go. They want to do it themselves. We've taught them how to do it. They've had the lessons. They've done it. They've done the tandem swing. They feel like they've nailed it. The safety net is there. And you're on the ground saying, go on, baby girl, you can do this. Take that leap. Audition for the play at school. Hey, son, try out for that rep team in soccer. We believe in you. They're up there on the trapeze. You're cheering them on for the ground. You've set them up for the win. They're not trying out for the play when they sound like a dying cat singing. You know that that's going to be a bad idea. But you encourage them gently into the things that they're actually gifted in, like being a backstage ninja and doing things silently. If they're great at doing that at home, encourage them to be backstage crew people that are just excellent at that. Do what you do excellently. That's what I teach my teenagers. Play the drums excellently. You style on that styling app your phone cases excellently. You make those candles excellently. You make those earrings excellently. You do that soccer game excellently. Encourage them to be excellent at what they are gifted in and excellent at. And please, for the love of God, do not tell them that they have like the potential to be the next Australian Idol if they sound like maybe they shouldn't audition and they'll be the butt joke of everyone's memes for the next 60 years. Okay, like let's set them up for the win. We should be setting each other, our peers, up for a win. We're not throwing our people under the bus. Never should we throw our teenagers under the bus with false expectations or false hope that they're actually great at something that their parents have always said, yeah, you're a great singer, you're excellent. And then they go to audition after audition, like, why don't I ever get in? And then the truth bomb comes from, the Kyle Sanderlands on the panel that go, you can't sing. And they're like, well, my mum always said. And he's like, yeah, your mum lied. Well, the truth is now out there that you lied to your kids about what they're great at. Please don't be liars, pants on fires. Please encourage them to grow, to practice, to learn new things. But if something is really not their jam, please don't put them out to dry at an audition that they will feel like a fizz bomb on, because they're already teetering on the edge of, do I belong, don't I belong? So we've got all of these things as an undercurrent that is like, they don't even want to hang out with themselves. So please never tell them you are such a hobo to hang out with right now. You're a pain. Just go, oh, today must be a hard day. Do we just need to sit on our phones and scroll? And we can just, pebble each other some memes, pebble each other some shorts and have a giggle. Watch a comedian show that's been pre-recorded on ABC iView that's free, and do that. Have a good time. There's so much great free stuff out there. You don't need to go and buy burgers every time your kid's sad, because your teenager will turn into a Boomba. I'll tell you that for free. There are so many bad, low moments in teen world. You will be eating your feelings like there's no tomorrow. I mean, sometimes eat your feelings, but think of things that you can do together to show that you're in it with them, that you understand that they're going through a time where they hate themselves and the world doesn't really love them either, and they don't know who they are. You remind them who they are. You're my kid. You are excellent. You are kind. You are funny. You crack the best jokes. I love your little prank of you leaving ladles in my bed at night for me to find and lay down when I'm dog tired, and I'm like, what the flip? There's a ladle in my bed. Ah, that joker, back at it again. That's an in-joke since our kids were little, and love it. They still do it sometimes, and it catches me by surprise. And my eldest is 14, and he thinks it's friggin' funny when he hears from my bedroom at like 9:30 when I'm trying to be a nana. And he's like, gotcha, Mum! And I'm like, I love you. You're gonna get it tomorrow. There'll be tongs in your pillowcase. Yep, very aggressive in our household. We don't do weaponry, we don't do sharp knives, but we do definitely love a good practical joke, and find a way to bond and have some light with your teens. That's definitely going to help. The next big thing is just remembering that the talk back is actually them trying to develop a little bit of autonomy and work out what the boundaries are. Hey, we speak to each other with kindness. When you're ready to communicate with me, to me, with kindness, I'll just be over here. Maybe try again. Give them the opportunity to practice safely and to have that feedback safely and to keep practicing. Sometimes we mouth off when we have got a bad day on the back of where we are now, when we've had a really bad traffic run on the way home, and when we get home and we realise that what we thought we were going to have for dinner was eaten by someone else who took it to work that day, not naming any names in our household. That is why I label what things I want to take for lunch in the fridge. So I'm never disappointed that whatever leftovers I was going to transform into a oven pasta bake deluxe special edition Trish Magician meal. All the parents out there know it. You recreate the leftovers by putting cream of chicken soup over it, put some cheese on it, put some pasta in it, bang it in the oven and call it pasta bake. Well, we all know that it's actually leftovers reinvented, but no one's judging. Sometimes on Friday nights we have breakfast, pancakes, French toast, wheat bix, because no one can be bothered, and that's okay too. So remember, in the teen years, they're not fully developed. In the teen years, you're there to be their coach on the ground while they're doing the trapeze, cheering them on for that audition, for that tryout, for that even doing their very best at the cross country at school. Whatever it may be, you are there to cheer them on. And you're also there to go, hey, it's cool, there's a safety net, and if you know you fall and smash your legs, I'm going to take you to the emergency room, and I would have captured it on video so you can have a little giggle about this down the track. So you're there for them. You need to let them know you're there for them, and you're also going to be the one that's going to take them to the hospital if they broke their nose because they, didn't go quite the way they expected, but you cheered them on in it anyway. Be that parent. That's what our teenagers need. And remember, their brains are not fully developed. They're doing their best with what they have. We're doing our best as parents with what we have. And then at the end of the day, that was our talk back kind of address. If they're talking back to you, you can say, hey, in our family we speak to each other like this. And you just remind them gently, because sometimes in the moment teenagers do not remember because they are teenagers. They may not have ADHD, but they might have attention spans like a gnat, and they might forget, and they might have a hormone surge that is like doing them a number that day. Remember that. Lens of compassion. Being a teenager is hard. And then sometimes there are families that do not have one home for their teenagers. They might live across 2 homes or 3 homes, for whatever the case may be. There might be separated parents at play. There might be different rules in different households. And I want to hold space for that right now, because the reality is that the divorce rate is quite high in the Western world, more so than in Asian cultures and in other cultures around the world. But in the Western world, the divorce rate is generally quite significantly higher than in Southeast Asia. For a myriad of reasons, you can do your anthropology deep dive at your own expense. Not on my time, soz people. But in dual households, there comes a time where we need to accept, for whatever reason, the relationship failed, the marriage failed, the long-term relationship, de facto relationship didn't work out. I'm here to say that's okay. It's absolutely okay that things didn't work out the way you planned. That is life. Sometimes things don't work out, like your dreamy vision board that you had when you were 13 years old about what life would look like. But what we can do is turn that beautiful oops, or that pain, or that struggle into an opportunity. And sometimes it takes years to get to that point to be able to do that. Sometimes you need to be in the crying, mourning, grief stage, and you will maybe forever grieve the fact that that didn't turn out the way you planned for that relationship. And your kids now are shuttled between pillar and post, between 2 households that may or may not be completely unified on every single point. But for the parents that are out there that are single parent households, or that are from households where kids live between multiple households, there comes a time where you just need to accept that they will do what they do on that end and they have their beliefs. Sometimes ex-partners can be very much like politicians. You cannot get them to change their viewpoint. They are in that camp forever. They may not believe in the fact that your teenager is, a furry and identifies as a cat and needs to use a litter box, and they might completely berate your teenager and not be supportive of that journey. They may not be a supportive person for their sexual orientation exploration. They may not be a supportive parent around using swear words at home versus not using it swear words at home. They might be the parent that's saying, yeah, they can have a beer with me at 14, and you're like, whoa, their brain hasn't finished developing. Let's not be messing that up anymore. No amount of convincing, barking at them, pleading with them, it didn't work when you were together, it's probably not going to work now. If they don't want to see the forest for the trees, that's not on you to convince. You do what you do in your home and you do it excellently. You love your child, you affirm your child, you teach them while they're young, then you transition to coach when they're a teenager, and you coach the bejeebers out of them, encourage them, help them to see the goodness in them so that they learn to love themselves and develop some self-worth so that they don't open their legs for the first person that gives them a wolf whistle. You get that honor and privilege with whatever time you have. And if that's, 2 nights a week, or if that's week on, week off, or if that's 50% of the time or 70%, who knows? You do the best with the time that you have. And you say it's okay if they want to do it a different way. In our family, in our home, this is how we do it. And kids learn that, one teacher has one rule and another teacher has another rule about talking in class or how to ask questions or how to respectfully disagree. Teachers have different rules, so parents can also have different rules across 2 households or 3 households. But what you do want to do is try and speak as positively as you can about the other parent and say, hey, we all have choices that we get to make, and that's what your dad is choosing to do, and that's their choice. In our family, this is what we do. And you just speak about what you guys do in your family. There is no amount of convincing, pleading, begging that you can do. And the more energy you put into that, the more exhausted you will be. So you put that amazing amount of whatever energy you have left in your empty cup into your excellent teenagers that want you to just love them, be there for them, drive them to emergency if they stuff up, pick them up from the cop shop if they did something by mistake that they didn't realize was going to end up that way. You want to come at them with calm curiosity. You want to be there to comfort them, cheer them on, be the cheerleader, be the coach. The letter C is really big for me. Care, compassion, calm curiosity, cheerleader, coach. That's what you are as a teenage parent. And you know what? You don't need a support group. Look at all those other parents that are rearing teenagers or teaching teenagers and go and have a coffee together and commiserate on how tough it is and share strategies. That is how you win on the battlefield of life. Thanks so much for listening to this episode. I hope you found something really helpful in it, some little bit of gold. Please like it, share it with all of your people in your world that have teenagers in them, which is everyone. Because who is serving up your hot chips from KFC? Someone that is 14 and 9 months that has just been allowed into the workforce. Woohoo! And you know what? Just talking about workforce just quickly, if they want to go and get a job, encourage them, because no one bosses them around better than a boss. Because you're their parent, you get to do the home stuff on that. If you're trying to teach them work skills and they're not vibing that from you, let them go work at Baker's Delight or Macca's or Aldi or wherever and learn those skills from someone else, because we all know that if a teacher teaches them something that you've been banging on about for 10 years, they listen to the teacher and they don't listen to you. They listen to their great auntie Sarah, but they don't listen to you. They listen to your bestie that goes, alcohol's bad. And they're like, oh, Auntie Sarah said alcohol's bad, I'm not going to try it. And you're like, oh my gosh, I've been saying that to you forever. Phone a friend, get them to whisper in your teenager's ear. Actually, don't let your teenagers hear this. Actually, you know what? We all do it. Know it, teenagers? Everyone is backing everyone. We all know, and we speak teenager, and we are all trying to help each other rear excellent human beings. We want you teenagers to be excellent. And that is why we're putting in the time as coaches now. So that when you turn into a young adult, we can actually hang out with some awesome human being that we have raised and high five ourselves that you are a fully fledged, functional human being to the best of your capacity. Go find a friend, go find a cheer squad, rally up. We are the cheerleaders of the teenagers of today. Good luck. Thanks for listening to OT for Two. The song used in this podcast in the intro and outro is the original song written by Jane Nielsen and Trish Lurk. All information within this podcast should be taken to your healthcare professional, occupational therapist, music therapist or paediatrician in order to ensure that it is tailored adequately for your needs.